Lesson 4. We're finally going to talk about making friends, making good friends. This lesson is called the friendship factor. And so we begin to take those 3 principles of being one of the 3%, seeking to be a person who lives with less fear in their lives, and of course, one of the best ways to gain friends is just to do what we simply said. Treat every person you meet as the most important person in the world. Read the sign. That will take care of our lesson in friendship in significant ways. Do that. That is the fundamental way that you make good friends. However, in this lesson, I would like to give you a little more insight. Remember, what I'm trying to do is avoid the obvious and give you some ideas that you perhaps haven't heard before. Now, there's literally 750 million hits in 0.97 seconds when just before I walked into the studio, I went and sat down and wrote in the Google, how to make good friends, hit the enter, boom, 750 million, it said. And there were categories like how to make good friends in the 8th grade. Probably 100, maybe 1,000 of subcategories. And of course, within each of those categories, there are hundreds, thousands of references and articles and YouTube. If you want to learn about friendship, I don't have to, and I certainly can't in this 9-10 minute presentation be able to help you learn everything you might want to know about being a friend. There are some classic books out there. Of course, Dale Carnegie's is one of them. The book, The Friendship Factor, of a number of years ago by Alan Loy McGinnis, is still a very popular book. People say this is a way that I can learn particularly to care for one another. Caring for other people is the significant friendship factor. But let's take it a little bit deeper than that, okay? What I simply want you to understand is this is not terribly easy, because even Dale Carnegie, with his great optimism, was a little bit cynical about people from time to time. Again, remember, they're kind of self-absorbed. They tend to read their own sign and treat themselves as the most important, as opposed to reading other people's sign and treating them that way. People are crazy. People are irrational. People will disappoint you. One of the fundamental principles that will help us become significant human beings is our deep acceptance of the fact that people are irrational. Our friends will be irrational. We would like to believe that as we're taught and trained logic and reason, that people, for the most part, are logical and reasonable. As one of my colleagues said, we have an how did he put it? In irrational faith, we have an unreasonable belief that people will be reasonable. And they won't be. You've all had that happen. We've all experienced it. We've all been there. Once we understand that even our best friends will probably disappoint us, perhaps many times, when we understand that sometimes it just won't happen the way we want, that irrationality abounds in the human condition. And if we can begin to have greater acceptance of that and greater kindness back towards that kind of behavior, you know what's going to happen? We're going to have greater peace of mind. We're going to have a lot more calmness in our heart, mind, and spirit. And that will be attractive. And the fact that we accept people for what they are and what they do and the craziness they become, that will find its way into the hearts and minds of good people. Remember, we don't want just friends, we want good friends. And those are good people who care about others as much as they perhaps care about themselves, and they have other interests besides selfishness in mind. So, yep, craziness abounds. Irrationality abounds. Unreasonableness abounds. Scott Peck, in his book many years ago on The Road Less Traveled, about people who actually live life very differently, said life is difficult. And if we want to live successfully, we understand that life is difficult. And many of our friends will disappoint us. We deal with it. In fact, we simply embrace it and live with it. Understand that. Just another factor that might help you be the kind of person who will make good friends is a quality that became very important in the mentoring that I received. This wise gentleman who was coaching me said, "Stan, you're a man with lots of interests, but let me tell you, when you're with another person, be fully present, be fully there, and no place else." Wow. And then I began to notice how few people really do that. They're on their machines, they're on their phone, they're working the room, they're looking at something else. And then when I began to practice it, sought to practice it, you would not believe how rare it is and how well people respond when they know that you are fully present to them. In fact, one of the words got back to me from a client who said that the reason she had engaged me as her business performance coach is that one of her colleagues who had been in contact with me before said this: "Stan Houston will listen to you like you've never been listened to before." Now, I took that as a great compliment because that was not my natural ability, but I had been really working hard on that fully present listening. So can I just simply ask you to consider that in part of your friendship factor? It's an overused, but it's an effective word, and it's a good word. Be real. Authentic. There's a wonderful book that many of you have experienced called The Velveteen Rabbit, and of course what happened is the old Velveteen Rabbit got worn out and became real. It became real because obviously it was close and a comfort to the children. Let me ask you to do this. Without being such a phony, and without being phony at humility or phony at being authentic, seek to be comfortable and confident in your own skin and not try to put on a show for others. Live in the humility of full authenticity and occasionally put in a touch of mystery. Now, I can't fully explain this, but I want you to just to think about it. Authenticity with a little bit of mystery, a touch of mystery, is great power. Can I ask you to think about that once again? Authenticity with a touch of mystery is great power. It's attractive. And people will find something about that kind of person that they want to know more about and be connected to. Now, the fourth factor in the friendship factor, again, they're irrational. Be fully present. Be as authentic and real as you can. But then take all of that, and particularly the number one, irrationality, and understand that the only real friend you can make is you. You have no control over winning friends, making friends. That's their game. That's their deal. I have now discovered, even as I write this book class course, is the only real good friend that I can make is I can make me into a good friend. I have to understand that's the only thing I can control. And so what I want to be about is, how can I every day read the sign, treat everybody as important, and simply do whatever it takes, words that I use, actions that become a part of me. How can I be the kind of person I will be the friend. Whether they reciprocate or respond or whatever it is, I will be the friend. You know, just yesterday I was really busy and I got one of those phone calls. We want to do a customer service survey. Well, I was right in the middle of something else and I was about to drop it off quickly. And then I remembered what I was talking about and what I'm going to be talking about to you right now. And I thanked the person for their call. Thank you for your concern about me. I'm grateful for that. But right now, I'm very, very busy, and I'm right in the middle of an event. And so I would be happy to try to visit with you some other time, but right now I'm going to ask that you'll just pardon me so I can get back to my work. And I wish you all the best. I know you have a difficult job, and I appreciate your efforts, and I'm glad you're out there working hard, trying to make things happen, and being a good customer service rep. But could we do this some other time? Now, that's not my normal reaction. That's not what I do normally. I am intense. I want to move on. I don't have time for this stuff. But that was a conscious action where I will be the friend. I will make me the friend and see what the response will be. So there you go. Some friendship factors to consider and how you can, again, make you the good friend and again, begin to make your marks out in the marketplace of life.